Hello everyone, it's Andrea and welcome to this edition of Talks in the Car. Today's a special day at my job. Today, the little people that I work with are going to be graduating. They'll be leaving our school and going on to public school or other private schools. And as I thought about the process and as I thought about the concept of graduating, my mind went to ask the question, and I asked this of you: are you prepared for graduation? Are you prepared to leave where you currently are and to be promoted to the next level? Have you done the work that allows God to say, okay, they have done what they needed to do at this level, and now I'm ready to promote them to the next phase of their journey? And as you think about graduation, whether or not you're graduating from preschool, you're graduating from elementary school, middle school, high school, college, you've got your master's degree, you got your doctorate degree, no matter what level of promotion that you are at, there are requirements that you have to accomplish in order for you to obtain that degree, in order for you to move on to that next level. And if you do not accomplish those requirements, you cannot move on. You cannot get that piece of paper. You cannot move on to the next grade. You cannot obtain that degree. And so it is the same thing in God. If we do not master some of the process that God has us going through, if we have not learned the lessons of life, the lessons in God that we are required to learn, we cannot move on to what God has next for us. We cannot move on to the next level of spiritual development that God wants to take us to. And so in order for us to get to that next level, what do we have to do? We have to study. We have to stay in close proximity to the professor. We have to stay close proximity to God. We have to communicate. Oftentimes when we are doing our work on a secular level, we have to stay in close proximity to that teacher. We have to ask questions in class. We have to take notes. If we're having problems, we have to go for extra help. We have to go for tutoring. There are things that we can do in order for us to pass those tests and those lessons that are required in order for us to move on. I can remember when I was in high school, I struggled with algebra. Math was not my thing, and that was an area that was very difficult for me. And so for days and weeks, I would go after school and meet with the teachers so that they can help me with the process, help me be able to put the concepts of algebra together so that I could understand and therefore go ahead and pass the test, pass the final. And even in that, I spent so much time with him, with this particular teacher taking algebra. And I can remember being so discouraged because while I was in after school with him, I could understand it, and that one-on-one time was helpful to me. But then when it came time for the test, I would freeze up, and everything that I had learned, the process that I had learned, would just go completely out the window, and I would not do well on the test. And so I remember we were getting ready to be done. It was the last day of school, and we're in his class, and he's giving out the grades for the final. And I had failed the final. And I just broke down in tears because I had worked so hard. My dad had helped me at home. I had spent so much time in after school help trying to get tutoring, and just could not get this together. And when I came up to him after he went through all of the kids, and when he got to my name, he looked at me. He didn't say anything, and I knew that I had failed the test. And after class, I just went up to him, and tears were in my eyes, and I was just so upset. And he was like, "Look, Andrea," he's like, "you have put in more effort than any of the other students. You have spent more time." He said, "and because of your effort, because you tried, because you worked hard in order to try to grasp the concept of algebra, even though you failed the final, I'm still going to pass you." And he gave me a D in the class. Even though I had failed and even though I hadn't done well, he said he could see the fact that I had worked hard. He could see my effort. He could see that I was really trying. And then he went on to say, "But just promise me that you will never take algebra again." And in my mind, I was like, absolutely no problem. No problem at all. However, my requirement was that I had to go and take Algebra 2. And interesting enough, I ended up passing Algebra 2 with a B. And I don't know if it was because of the style of teaching or if I had just everything that I had learned from the original teacher in Algebra 1 just simply gelled with me, whatever it was. But I managed to pass the next level and be able to move on and feel good about the work that I had put in. So why am I saying that? Sometimes in order for us to move forward, we have to put in extra work. We have to labor. We have to spend more time on our knees. We have to spend more time talking with God, talking with that spiritual professor. We have to spend more time in worship. We have to spend more time trying to work through the things that need to be fixed in our lives, the things that we need improvement in. We have to put in the work. And when we put in the work, then we get promoted. When we put in the work and God sees that we are really working hard, we are really trying to overcome certain things, that's when grace and mercy come in. That's when God is able to say, you know what, they may not have mastered the class the same way I did not master algebra, but the teacher had grace and mercy on me because they saw my tenacity. They saw how much I was putting in order to pass this class. And even though I didn't reach the level that I needed to reach, grace and mercy kicked in with that teacher. That teacher said, you know what, I see what you're doing, Andrea, and I'm going to allow you to pass this class. And it's the same way with God. Even though we may not master things 100%, when we put in the effort, when we put in the time, when God sees that we have pushed in, when we have plugged in, when we have dug in deep, when God sees that, God is able to say, you know, daughter, you know, son, you have worked hard in this area, and I'm going to dispense upon you some grace and mercy. So I encourage you on today that as you continue on your spiritual journey toward that degree, that you plug in even harder to God, that you do all you can to pass the test, to pass in your assignments, to do that all God is requiring you in order for you to get to the next level. I used to tell students, I used to tutor third grade students during a summer enrichment course many years ago, and they would share with me how much they did not like school, how much they didn't like the teacher. And later on, I worked with youth who would also share some of the same sentiments. They didn't like school, didn't like the teacher, didn't want to be there. And I would tell them this, and I would tell my son this, if he was struggling in a particular area: do all you have to do to get out of school. If you don't like school, don't be lazy. Don't not study. Don't not do your assignments. Do everything that you can do to pass the class, to pass that grade, so you don't have to do it over. That by itself is a revelation. If you don't like something, if you don't like school, if you don't like a particular area, work hard so you don't have to do it again. You don't have to repeat what you don't like. And it's the same thing in the spirit. If there's an area that's hard, if it's an area that's discouraging, if it's an area that is uncomfortable, do all you need to do in order to get out of that class, in order to move forward, so you don't have to repeat those hard lessons again, so you don't have to go through the heartbreak again, so you don't have to go through that experience again. Do all you have to do to learn all you need to learn, so that you can get past the thing that's uncomfortable, past the thing that hurts, in order to move forward to the next level. So I encourage you, continue to plug into God. Continue to stay connected to your spiritual professor. Continue to pray. Continue to fast. Continue to turn the TV off. Continue to shut off social media. Continue to worship. Continue to do all you have to do, so that you can move on to the next level, so that you can graduate from where you are and move on to where God wants to take you. You have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we will see you next time on Talks in the Car.